Hello Super Friends and welcome to DC TV Talk, and in today's episode we're going to be breaking down and reviewing Legends of Tomorrow Season 4 Episode 5, otherwise entitled Tagumo Attacks. And before you jump into this review, make sure you've seen the episode as it will be filled with spoilers. So I really like what they actually did with this episode of Legends, because obviously we're dealing with magical fugitives. They are the main threat going on within this season, but what I particularly liked about this is that it wasn't like a thing or a creature or a person like it's been previously. Instead, this fugitive actually came from a magical object, which was this book, which when written in, actually the things that you write about come to life, and that was the fugitive. So you have this Japanese filmmaker who is in possession of this book, who writes about this massive squid monster. Basically imagine like the Kraken, it's basically like that. And it comes to life and starts terrorizing and actually ends up destroying Tokyo. I thought this was a really awesome creative choice that I didn't see coming. I expected, just this massive squid to be the fugitive and that was going to be that. But, Charlie's like, I've never seen that before, I don't know what this is. And you find out, no, it's actually the book. And I thought this was great. And all the stuff going on in Japan I thought was really awesome in this episode. Like, Mick was hilarious in this episode. Mick was absolutely brilliant in this. I think the writing for his character was hilarious. Dominic Purcell was absolutely brilliant as always. I thought Mick was just absolutely hysterical in this episode. Had me laughing so much throughout this, whether it was about his writing or his porn jokes. I just thought it was absolutely hilarious at all the time. Also, the CGI for Tagumo was actually pretty good. I was expecting it to be kind of shaky, but Legends is actually pretty good with the CGI. Like, Malice looked pretty good, and I say this looks pretty good as well. But the fight between Tagumo and Sarah, where Sarah's trying to shrink it with Ray's shrink ray, and that was alright. It was just like there was quite a bit of poor wire work going on in that scene, which was a bit distracting, but it was still pretty cool on the whole. But the end fight itself, though, I'll just skip to the end. There's this big end fight where basically Mick is writing it as it's happening. That was really clever. They were using like the little soundstage that they were introducing earlier on to make it seem like it was actually filmed that way, and you can see it actually is being filmed that way, and that was really interesting. It was done in black and white. That was really cool, to be like a really old classic Japanese monster movie. Really sick and all that. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great, and I loved everything in this like Japanese section. I thought it was really interesting and something really different. Now, one of the other storylines going on in this episode was between Ray and Nora, who obviously after Constantine sort of injured himself last episode, Ray goes and gets Nora dark to try and help. Now, this was really good. There was some really good dialogue here, especially between Constantine and Nora. Like, Constantine being really down to earth and really grounded, basically saying, you've stopped using your magic, you don't want to do it. It's going to take you down the dark path like it has for me, like it did for Damien Dark, your father. Don't go down the same path. If you're going to do it for you. Don't do it for me. Don't do it for Ray. Do it for yourself. This is your choice. Some really good dialogue going on. I thought it was great. And Nora, overall, as her introduction into the season, I liked. I think she did a really good job. I think that, Courtney Ford was great. I think she did an awesome job with this. Again, especially with a playoff with Matt Ryan and a playoff with Brandon Routh. Really good stuff. Obviously, I like to talk about dynamics a lot, of like character dynamics. I thought their dynamic was really fun. And having her on this show, I don't quite know where they're going to go with her from this, because also we know she's a series regular this season, and she gets arrested by the Time Bureau at the end, so I don't know what's going on there, but still, I'm really excited to see more of her. I liked her in Season 3, so I'm definitely excited to see where she goes in Season 4. There was also like the fluffy Thanksgiving stuff, which was alright. It was basically just Nate and Ava going to Nate's house for Thanksgiving dinner. It was alright. It was just something that, it was a bit random, a bit out of place, but it was quite funny. Like, you did get some quite good lines in there, but obviously this wasn't meant to progress the story or anything. This is just purely to have some fun for the Thanksgiving season. And it was quite entertaining, we're all standing around the turkey, and Ava's like, oh yeah, let's do everything that we're thankful for, and like Nate's grandmother's just like, I'm thankful I'm still breathing. Like, that was a great line. So yeah, there were some good moments, and I love, any episode that's got Tom Wilson, as Nate's father. I just love him so much. So any scenes with him, I'll take. And yeah, I mean, all these scenes were pretty useless, pretty fluffy, but they were entertaining, they were funny. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the stuff going on at the Time Bureau, where we see Gary is basically looking after all these creatures that they've captured. They haven't got them in any really particular cells because they haven't got the funding for it yet. They're still waiting for that to be like made. So they have them in just like this room, and they basically escape. And thanks to Mona, the new character who was in last week's episode, who's going to be also a series regular this season, she actually basically knows a lot about all these creatures and starts, basically knowing how to calm them all down. And she's actually a big helping hand when it comes to Nate and Gary taking taking, you know, all these guys down. So that was really cool. Basically, it's starting to show what Mona's skills are and what she's going to be used as. To me, it seems like she's going to be used the same way Nate was used in Season 2. Obviously, Nate being a historian, he was kind of used in that way to give context to the legends in terms of where they were and what they were partaking in. Seems like Mona is going to be taking that kind of role this season. When we get a new magical fugitive, she's going to be able to know kind of how to take them down. Obviously, that's going to go hand in hand with Charlie as well. Now, speaking of Charlie, I don't know how I feel about her. Like, over the past couple episodes, I was kind of like, yeah, she's okay. But in this episode, I don't know what it is. It's just, it feels to me very forced. It feels like, you know, they ended Amaya's story in Season 3, which ended perfectly. You know, we all kind of knew Amaya was going to go at the end of Season 3. So she went back to 1942 in Zambezi. That was all fine. And clearly the writers wanted to bring back Amaya, but they couldn't bring back Amaya, so they brought back this character of Charlie. It just feels really forced to me, like, just to have this character on the show, especially because the way they've done her character, you know, she's so outrageously different to Amaya. Again, it feels forced. It's like, oh yeah, look, it's not the same character. I mean, yeah, it's the same actress. It's not the same character because look how different she is. But again, it feels really forced to me. Her accent is very over the top. And it's funny because obviously Maisie Richardson-Seller is actually British, but I thought she was going to be able to use her natural accent, but she doesn't. She uses her, like, she's actually got a very posh accent in real life. This is obviously a bit more of a Cockney accent. So, to me, this whole character of Charlie, I love her look, but I just don't really know if this character is necessary, and it kind of just feels like the writers are, you know, forcing this character onto the show because they need Amaya, but they can't have Amaya. It's kind of like what the Arrow writers did when they brought in Black Siren. You know, when they killed off Laurel and then instantly regretted it, so they needed a way to bring Laurel back, so they had Black Siren. Fortunately, it's worked a lot better with Black Siren than it has done here with Charlie. I mean, obviously, she's only been on the show for a couple episodes. You know, I will give her a bit more time to grow. I'll give her the season. But as it stands right now, at this point in time, I'm just a bit confused with Charlie, and I'm not quite sure if she fits on this show. So what I really liked about all this as well is the very ending actually sets up that maybe Nate's father has got something going on. He initiates something called Project Hades. Obviously we don't know what that is, but basically he knows about these magical fugitives and he's basically saying, look, they can be controlled, they can be tamed. I've seen it with my own eyes. Project Hades is a go. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what Project Hades is. I looked up Project Hades. I couldn't find anything. So I'm very excited to see what this is. I like the fact that Tom Wilson's character is actually getting a bigger story. I think that's great. And if he becomes some kind of a villain this season, that is really exciting. Obviously, this is Biff from Back to the Future we're talking about, so he's very much capable of doing that. So that's really exciting. So I'm definitely on my edge. I'm definitely on the edge of my seat when it comes to Biff and his future on this show. Overall, I think Legends continues to improve this season. Obviously, I think it's had a bit of a rocky road, but over the past couple episodes, it has begun to improve, and this, again, continued on that path. I really enjoyed this episode. I think all the stuff going on in Japan was super unique and really fun. All the stuff for Thanksgiving, again, very fluffy, very pointless, but definitely hilarious. Mick was brilliant in this episode. Probably, you know, Mick was definitely the MVP. He's definitely, you know, the standout for me in this episode. And all the stuff on the Time Bureau was, again, kind of fluffy, but they're kind of slowly introducing this character of Mona. I wonder when she's going to fully come into the fold because they're doing this very, very slowly, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just kind of wondering when they're going to finally initiate that. And again, that tease with Nate's father at the end. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Hank Haywood. I'm very excited to see what that is going on there. But pretty good episode on the whole. I did enjoy it. But what did you guys think about this episode? Make sure you let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Tell me all your thoughts on Tagumo Attacks. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. It'll help me out a lot. And share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always, guys, please subscribe for your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. And with all that said, guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.